Hey folks, welcome to Advisory. I hope you're all doing well. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday, if you were in Advisory, hopefully you were able to see the documentary that we watched over fentanyl. It was this guy, he talked a little bit, and then it went into different scenarios and different stories from parents and folks that have experienced loss at the hands of overdose or drug abuse. Fentanyl specifically is incredibly dangerous because just this little amount can kill 2 people. It's odorless, it's tasteless, and a lot of drug dealers will use it to cut into their other drugs, to cut costs, and to get users a little bit more addicted. We also heard heartbreaking stories from these parents who have lost their children to a fentanyl overdose, and all of the ways that an overdose and an accidental death can leave a lot of destruction in its wake for the people that are left behind. If you were absent yesterday, or if you otherwise were not able to watch the documentary, I highly suggest that you give it a watch. It's about 20 minutes long. I've put it on the advisory tab of your class site. It's in English y en español también. But in addition to watching that documentary, I also wanted to get on today to talk to you specifically, our students here at WT White, about why we might show these things, why it's so important. Since the days of Nancy Reagan, we've been hearing things like just say no to drugs, don't do drugs, don't do it, you better not do it, don't. And to a certain degree, that messaging works, right? Certain folks are scared of breaking the rules. Certain folks, are scared of the messages that they're receiving about drugs, and so they stay away. But for some people, especially some teenagers, I know that the more that you tell them not to do something, the more curious they're going to be about doing it. You start to think things like, why don't you want me to do this? What's so crazy about it? Maybe I want to find out. That is a perfectly normal response and a very understandable impulse. But today, what I wanted to do is to get a little bit deeper than just don't do it. And I want to talk about the emotional underpinnings, the things that are happening underneath the surface that cause folks to use drugs. If the last few decades of the war on drugs has taught us anything, it's that imposing laws and rules and just telling people don't do it is not always going to be enough. So today in your discussion, I want you to think a little bit more outside the box. I want you to answer these questions. Things like, what may make people want to use drugs? And what makes the feeling of using drugs so tempting? What are some of the more positive things that may be able to replace or reduce drug abuse in a person's life? What needs to change about our world to make drug abuse and overdose less of a problem? What are some of the bigger things that are at work that are causing people to want to use drugs? And then I want you to think of this last question as well. What is the main motivation of someone who deals drugs? And describe the relationship between a drug dealer and a drug user. I want you to think about these things with your class. I want you to think about these things with your friends, because we as adults can only tell you certain things and only can do so much. You as teenagers have your own world, right, that we are not a part of. And to a certain degree, that's how it should be. But it is up to you and your generation and your culture and your community to deal with this problem and to think carefully about the things that you are doing to your body and the things that you as teenagers accept as normal. And overall, I hope that you hear in all of the times that we say don't do drugs, be careful, is that we love you. All right, that might sound weird coming from an adult in a school, but I don't think that there is a single teacher here that would stay here unless they did not, on some level, love the students at this school and want the absolute best for them. So please participate in this discussion on the next slide. Participate in these discussions with each other, and hopefully we can come to a better understanding about drugs and maybe about ourselves. Be good to yourself and others, and I'll see you real soon.